Live from Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Sports Channel presents Mets baseball. Tonight, the Mets take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hello again, everybody. I'm Fran Healy, along with Ralph Kiner and our colleague Tim McCarver. We'll be bringing you all the action from Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh when the Mets take on the Pirates in Game 4 of this four-game series. And I guess, Ralph Kiner, if it's 3 games, the broom's out. If it's 4 games, the vacuum cleaner's out. The Mets having a great series here in Pittsburgh.
Well, the Mets have won the first 3 games of this series, and the Pirates are now in 3rd place. They are a half game back of the Montreal Expos, and they are 7 games back of the New York Mets. Interesting thing about this series, neither team has really scored many runs. The Mets, in the last 7 games with the Pirates, have averaged 3.1 runs per game, and the Pirates have averaged 2.1. So the Mets have outscored them by only 1 run per game, but they have won all the games but 1.
And, of course, Saturday night's game with the 3 blocks, a big break for the Mets. And I think Sunday's game is a story in itself because the Mets were able to rest some of their key players, Gary Carter, Kevin McReynolds, still win the ball game. Now they have arrested McReynolds and Carter back in the lineup tonight, where the Pirates can't afford to do that.
And the Mets can afford to rest Darryl Strawberry, who's not in the starting lineup. So that's the story. And also, the big story is we have a pitcher pitching against the Mets that has never pitched a ball game in the major league.
His name is Rick Reed. We'll talk more about Rick Reed. But, you know, it's interesting when you look at the National League East, everybody was thinking of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now with the Montreal Expos going into 2nd place, the emphasis now falls on the Montreal Expos. And for some thoughts on the Expos, let's go down in the field to Tim McCarver. Tim?
All right, Franny, thank you very much. With the Montreal Expos playing tonight in St. Louis, they have won 13 of their last 15 ball games, and the emphasis has all of a sudden shifted from the Pittsburgh Pirates to the Montreal Expos. And without the emphasis shifting away from tonight's ball game, we thought we'd go to Bob McClure and find out a comparison of the 2 ball clubs. Bob, having been a member of the Montreal Expos for the better part of the last 2 years, what do you think the biggest difference between the Expos and the Mets is?
Well, I would say the intensity level is much higher over here, and I think that has a lot to do with winning a championship. A lot of guys are here from that winning championship season, and it increases the level of intensity. I think that's the biggest difference. There's a little bit more power here, and but the pitching's similar.
Timmy Raines is not having the type of year that people are used to seeing him have. However, Rex Hudler and Otis Nixon have given the Expos a lot of speed and some added power also.
Well, I think that's one thing, Tim, that the Expos were missing was getting someone on besides Raines if he wasn't getting on, getting him to second base. Now they have 2 guys who can steal second base, get over there, sacrifice him a third, knock him in. But Tim Raines, you know, there's 2 months left, and we're hoping he doesn't get too hot.
What about a left-hander in the bullpen now that you're gone?
Well, as far as Montreal goes, you mean
right.
Heaton and Joe Hesketh. I think that I was real surprised, you know, leaving Montreal, but I'm glad it worked out this way. But I think they're going to have trouble there with Neil Heaton in the pen because he has trouble against left-handers. He doesn't have a real good breaking ball. He has a good fastball, but I think you got to get left-handers out with your breaking ball.
The Expos will be at Shea for 4 games this weekend. It'll be a very interesting matchup. Thanks a lot, Bobby.
Thank you, Tim.
We'll be back with the start of tonight's game from Three Rivers, the Mets and the Pirates, right after this.
Well, Lenny Dykstra leads it off for the Mets. Game 4 of this 4-game series. The Mets trying to sweep it. And Dykstra facing the young right-hander Rick Reed, his first major league start. Dykstra batting .300, 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, and he takes a strike. Behind the plate, Greg Bonet. At first base, Fred Rocklander. John McSherry, the umpire at second base. And over at third base, Ed Montague.
Rick Reed has something special going for him. The Pirates have won 3 games of the 13 played between these 2 clubs. They won all 3 on Monday.
So, today is Monday, isn't it?
Today is Monday all day.
And Dykstra takes down low. It's 1-1. Rick Reed talking to him before the ball game, asking him how he felt about pitching to the Mets. He said, I've been dreaming about it. They're the best in baseball, and I've always dreamt about pitching against the best team in baseball.
He made a fast advance to the minor leagues, 6-2 at Salem, then moved up, 1-0 at Harrisburg, and 4-1 at Buffalo. He's had 1 loss since May 23rd.
And a 2-1 pitch. Line drive pulled foul. Now 2-2. The Mets coming into Pittsburgh, Ralph, I had to believe they had their doubts. Pirates playing good ball, but right now at this stage, I'd have to say they're very confident going into tonight's ball game.
Well, they certainly are confident, and they have their act together now. And of course, they have Keith Hernandez back in action, and that does solidify the ball club.
2-2 pitch is popped up. Playable, shortstop, Belliard, 1 down.
So the Mets have Lenny Dykstra leading off. Wally Backman batting second coming up now. Playing second. Batting third at first base, Keith Hernandez. Batting fourth, the left fielder, Kevin McReynolds. Batting fifth and catching, Gary Carter. Batting sixth, the third baseman, Howard Johnson. Batting seventh, playing right field, Mookie Wilson. Batting eighth, the shortstop, Kevin Elster. And the pitcher, Bob Ojeda, batting ninth.
And Wally Backman, the batter. Backman batting .300. No home runs, 11 RBIs. Playing in on the artificial surf, Bobby Bonilla. And Backman fouls the ball off, strike 1. Backman is 42 for 118 over his last 38 games. So not only did he rise from the dead professionally, he was the one who took the shovel and got the dirt off the casket. Swung on and missed. 0-2. By the way, Rick Reed is a guy who says he has mastered no pitch.
Well, let's see what this one is. Off-speed pitch, and Backman totally fooled by it as he changes speeds right there.
So Rick Reed pulling the string. Of course, Reed will have the advantage going around the lineup first time. Pretty good fastball. 1-2 on Backman.
The strange thing about Reed, he was the Pirates' 26th selection in the June 1986 draft, so a lot of clubs passed him up.
Strike 3. 2 down. And Ralph, you got the Pirates defense.
Well, right here we'll look at the strikeout. Comes back and gets that from home plate umpire Greg Bonet. The defense for the Pirates, Bream leaned Belliard and Bonilla in the infield first to third. The outfield, Bonds, Van Slyke, and Diaz. Left to right, the catcher, Tom Prince, another newcomer.
And Keith Hernandez, the batter, facing Rick Reed for the first time.
Pitcher has the advantage when he faces hitters for the first time because you have no idea what he throws.
There's a fastball for a strike. You can almost predict Hernandez to take that first pitch. Reed throws a fastball, if you can believe it, around 83 miles per hour.
He doesn't appear to be very fast, but he does change speeds. We've seen that. We haven't had a chance to see his curveball.
And Hernandez doesn't care if he ever sees him. He just slaps the ball left field, and Bonds drops the ball. Hernandez, he started for second, pulled up, and then he jogs into second base. He started for second in a hurry, and I think in the back of his mind was the hamstring, and he stopped.
He wasn't going to go, even if Bonds had not bobbled it the second time. That was a determining point. He's rounding first base, and now he's going to stop. But then Bonds boots it. He starts up again, and then stops again, and then Bonds drops it again. So he was going to go back to first, and Bonds on the second dropping of the ball gets charged with an error.
He forgot for just a moment about that injury. Now the batter, Kevin McReynolds, is batting .288, 16 home runs and 64 RBIs.
There's the first curveball he's thrown.
Steve Garland over in the corner sitting next to Lenny Dykstra. I'm sure he'll watch Keith Hernandez closely. 1-0 on Kevin McReynolds. Keith Hernandez on second base. We're in the top of the first inning. And Reed misses outside with a fastball. 2-0.
McReynolds hitting .362 and has hit in 12 of his last 13 games over that average of .362 with 3 home runs. 10 runs batted in.
And he leads the Mets in hits with 111. I believe Keith Hernandez is the only member of the Mets club who was able to achieve that 200-hit plateau. Popped up. Bream over by the stands and makes the catch around number 3. So the Mets strand Keith Hernandez on second base. We played a half inning here in Pittsburgh. No score, and we'll be back. Well, Bobby Ojeda on the mound for the Mets tonight. Ojeda going after his 9th victory of the season. He's 8-9 with a 3.22 ERA. been in 21 ball games so far for the Mets. 137 innings pitched. And throwing very well ever since going through that surgery.
And he'll be pitching to Barry Bonds, the leadoff batter. Playing left field, batting second, the second baseman Jose Lean. Batting third and playing center field, Andy Van Slyke. Batting fourth at third base, Bobby Bonilla. Batting fifth and playing right field, Mike Diaz. Batting sixth, the first baseman Sid Bream. The seventh batter will be the catcher Tom Prince. Batting eighth and playing shortstop Rafael Belliard. And the pitcher Rick Reed batting ninth.
And Barry Bonds right there, batting .293, 19 home runs and 40 RBIs.
He's been a devastating leadoff batter.
Takes the breaking ball up high. You can tell he's a leadoff hitter by looking at his home run and RBI totals. 19 home runs and only 40 RBIs.
He's hit .341, leading off the start of a ball game with 10 two-base hits, 1 three-base hit, and 5 home runs.
And he fouls the ball back. 1-1.
Has a total of 13 home runs leading off a ball game. His daddy had 35, the all-time record, tied with Henderson of the Yankees.
And Barry Bonds, a lot different than his father, choking up on the bat. His father used that big, heavy, long bat.
Yeah, his dad got him to hit left-handed.
He was smart. He was smart.
A little influence right there. He's hit left-hand pitching extremely well. .364 against left-hand pitching.
This is with a breaking ball to Bonds, so Bobby Ojeda falling behind on the count. 3-1. Overall against the Mets, Pirates are 3-10. So when the Mets had to win against the Pirates, they did. There's a strike. Now 3-2. Barry Bonds last year with 25 home runs and only 59 RBIs. And it's popped up to shortstop. Kevin Elster drifting back, and he makes the catch. 1 down.
The Met defense, Keith Hernandez at first base, Wally Backman playing second, the shortstop Kevin Elster, and at third base Howard Johnson. In the outfield, Kevin McReynolds in left field, Lenny Dykstra in center field, and Mookie Wilson in right. The catcher is Carter. Mets playing without Strawberry.
And a batter now, Jose Lean.
Incidentally, Strawberry not injured, he's just being rested.
What's a luxury Davey Johnson has when you can take a Strawberry out, give him a rest. You put McReynolds back in the lineup after resting him yesterday. Carter's back in the lineup. 0-1 on the Pirates' second baseman, Jose Lean. Then he fouls the ball off, so it's 0-2. Lean from Puerto Rico, Dorado, Puerto Rico. In high school, he played baseball, basketball, track, and volleyball.
He can jump off the ground as high as anybody that I have ever seen, including basketball players.
Yeah, he can get up there. It's too bad he wears all that jewelry. He'll probably jump a little higher. Up high to Lean. 1-2. I'll tell you, he has a lot of range. The guy that I've seen with the most range over the years, still playing with the Kansas City Royals, Frank White. Of course, he's about 38 years old now. Fouled off. So it's 1-2 on Lean.
Of course, when you think of Pirates second baseman, you think of Bill Mazeroski.
Couldn't jump, though, could he?
Didn't have to.
No. He won 8 Gold Gloves. Matter of fact, the Pirates Major League team has won 34 Gold Gloves over the years. There's a drive down the right field line. Foul. Safe to say the Mets better shade Lean to hit the ball the other way.
Lean is 0 for 19 in his last 19 at-bats. He hasn't had a hit in 12 at-bats in this series. He is really in a slump.
There you get a look at the defense. Look where Dykstra's playing Lean, and of course Mookie Wilson over towards the line. They're playing him like a dead pull hitter from the left side of the plate. And he fouls another ball out of play. Talking about those Gold Gloves, Roberto Clemente led the organization here in Pittsburgh with 12. And of course, then Bill Mazeroski had 8.
And their first baseman right now is leading the league in fielding, Sid Bream.
1-2 on Lean. Takes strike 3, so he's 0 for 20. That can't happen to an outfielder. When an outfielder goes 0 for 20, he rests.
Well, this is a curveball. It starts outside and breaks over the outside corner. And Ojeda picks up his first strikeout. That's strikeout number 86 for him at 137 innings.
And the last time the Pirates saw Bobby Ojeda, he threw a masterpiece.
Pitched a 3-hit shutout, winning 1-0 the first game of the series against Pittsburgh last week.
Andy Van Slyke, the batter, batting .295, 19 home runs, 73 RBIs. Really coming into his own here in Pittsburgh. He's become a leader. With the Cardinals, they were probably expecting and demanding too much from Van Slyke. There's a strike, 1-1. Andy Van Slyke was signed by the man who's director of scouting for the New York Mets, Roland Johnson. Roland told me he signed Van Slyke out of high school. Cardinals said, how's our #1 draft pick doing? That night, Van Slyke played an amateur game and got injured. Ground ball, second base. Backman, really in right field, makes the play, scored 4-3. And that'll do it for the Pirates here in the first. An easy inning for Bobby Ojeda. And we'll be back. Well, Rick Reed taking his warm-up tosses, and he'll pitch to Gary Carter, Howard Johnson, and then Mookie Wilson as we go to the top of the second inning here at Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, of course, at Wrigley Field in Chicago, the beautiful Wrigley Field will lose its innocence tonight to Father Time.
Well, the Pirates have had a big weekend series. Attendance certainly has been outstanding. One sellout ball game and over 40,000 for the other three. But here tonight, the attendance has dropped off. Pirate fans a little bit unhappy that the Mets have come in here and won the first 3 games. I wouldn't say a little bit. They are unhappy.
And Gary Carter hits a shot to Bobby Bonilla. Bonilla goes to first, and Breen picks it. Scored 5-3, 1 down. Bobby Bonilla from the Bronx. Grew up in the shadows of Yankee Stadium. Having a fine year with the Pirates at third base. And here's a guy who's a good third baseman, Howard Johnson.
Howard in the throes of a horrendous batting slump. Over his last 20 games, he's hitting .115 with only 3 runs batted in.
And right now, Howard Johnson will face Rick Reed. He takes down low, ball 1. Johnson batting .225, 19 home runs, 50 RBIs. He was in the middle of a key double play on Saturday night. Howard Johnson's great arm, of course, along with Roger McDowell, responsible for that key double play. Third baseman with a lesser arm would not have turned it. 2-0 on Johnson.
Howard 1 for 6 in this series, and that one hit was a home run. It was a bullet over the right field fence. He's had 4 home runs against the Pirates this year, and he's hitting .200 with just 8 hits. So half of his hits have been home runs against Pittsburgh.
And he takes us another strike. It's 2-1, and Howard Johnson. You know, it's interesting, Ralph, when you look at the championship year in 1986, Howard Johnson hit the most important home run of the year against Todd Worrell in St. Louis in April. It could happen to be the most important home run for the Mets this year, the one he hit off of Jim Gott.
Tied the game in the 9th inning. The Mets were down to their last out and 2 strikes on Johnson. He homered off Jim Gott, and the Mets later on won the game in extra innings.
Big series here in Pittsburgh. The Pirates were on a high, and the Mets came back and beat them, set them back.
Howard has hit some dramatic home runs. He's hit 5 in the 9th inning, 1 in the 8th inning, and he's hit 1 in the 13th inning.
Howard has his shortcomings. He has yet to adjust to the off-speed pitch. Right there's a curveball, an off-speed pitch. Strike 3, 2 down. But I guess with an athlete, you live with his positive and his negative.
Well, this is a curveball, and Howard out in front and over the top of it.
And Howard really geared up for the heater. In order to get in the major leagues, you're going to have to prove you can hit the heater. Once you get in the major leagues, they're going to find out if you can hit the breaking ball.
To stay in the major leagues, you got to hit the curveball.
And what surprises me, Ralph, is they don't give Howard Johnson more off-speed pitches until he proves he can hit it. Here's Mookie Wilson, who takes a strike from Rick Reed.
Mookie 2 for 5 in this series, and one of his hits, a home run. His first as a left-hand batter came yesterday. That's true. They'll just run you out of the league if you can't hit one pitch. Dusty Rhodes was a great example. Rhodes, a great hitter for the Giants in their heyday when they were winning in New York. And finally, somebody discovered he couldn't hit a changeup, and he just started throwing nothing but changeups, and he's still looking for the fastball. That sent him right back to the minors.
0-2 on Mookie Wilson. And he hits a ground ball, but it's off his foot, so it's a foul ball. You know, when you're catching against Howard Johnson, I'm really surprised that they don't just put down more than one finger every time they want to throw a strike, curveball or a slider or a changeup, but let him see the fastball. Obviously, you just can't throw him a steady diet of breaking balls and changeups in the strike zone without showing him the fastball, but show it to him about a foot off the plate. And Mookie fouls another pitch off, so the count remains 0-2.
Well, pitchers have an awful lot of ego, too, and they all think they can throw a fastball by you.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Eddie Lopez was a lot like that. He was one of those surveyors. He could thread the needle, hit the inside-outside corners.
And Mookie drives his ball left field. Bonds goes back and makes the play in a casual fashion. And that'll do it for the Mets here in the top of the second. 3 up, 3 down after 1.5. Still no score. Well, Bobby Bonilla will lead it off for the Pirates. Bottom of the second inning. And Bonilla batting .285, 18 home runs, 66 RBIs.
At the end of May, he was hitting .343 with 13 home runs.
And he was being mentioned as the MVP candidate. Of course, on this ball club, I would say it's Andy Van Slyke, but the Mets win it. Darryl Strawberry should win it.
He was the player of the month of April and the player of the month of May. But since then, it has been downhill for him, and a lot of people are saying he should be rested. He's played in every game of the season. Steve Sachs and Will Clark are the only other 2 players in the National League to play in every game.
Big strike, 2 0-2 on Bobby Bonilla. There's Darryl resting, and you need to rest.
Davey really believes in that philosophy.
I think psychologically you have to rest more than physically as an outfielder.
That's exactly what Davey Johnson said. It's not so much the physical end, it's the mental part of it. I mean, it's a tremendous strain day after day to keep your concentration and keep playing.
Watch Bobby Bonilla, the way he swings the bat. Reminds me of Gary Matthews up there. Look at him. Remember the way Gary Matthews did at Sarge? And Bonilla gets jammed and picks up a base hit. And that'll happen a lot when you're tired. You'll get jammed. But he's so strong, he fights the ball into right field and picks up a single, the first hit of the game for the Pirates.
That's a fastball in tight. He just muscles it off. And gets a base hit to right field. That is his first hit in this series. He had been 0 for 8.
He was signed by, or picked up again by Sid Thrift. He was traded away and then brought back to Pittsburgh when Sid Thrift took over the reins here in Pittsburgh. As you look at Mike Diaz, he's the next batter, batting .212, no home runs, 5 RBIs. Sid Thrift has done a fine job here in Pittsburgh. In fact, there was a power struggle out here during the winter months.
And that was with the ownership. They have a multiple group of people who have invested money in the Pirates.
There goes Bonilla, ball's fouled off. Well, you know, Sid Thrift was telling me before the game that what happened was he was able to make deals because the club was in such disarray, and then all of a sudden they got relatively successful, and there was a gentleman above him who wanted Sid to go to him for his okay from here on in. This was after the season, and Sid said, I don't want to do that. So the board of directors had to make a decision, so they gave Sid Thrift the power to make trades without getting the okay from anybody.
And he has made some wonderful trades to make this Pirate Ball Club a contending club.
Of course, if the club lost last year, there would have been no power struggle. Sid would have had to get the okay.
Well, they made that one deal that really put the Pirates in business, and that was the deal getting LaValliere, the catcher, Andy Van Slyke, the center fielder, and the pitcher Mike Dunn for Tony Pena.
Well, LaValliere, really an amazing story, as Ojeda checks Bonilla at first base. LaValliere was a fringe minor league player, not even a catcher, was converted to the catching position, and as a member of the Philadelphia Phillies minor league system, played out his option. There's a long drive to left center field. Lenny Dykstra has a beat on it, and he gloves it. Bonilla tags up, but Dykstra gets the ball back in a hurry.
Only goes to prove when you can learn how to catch that easily that it must be an easy position to play.
Easy. Wait a minute. It's a tough position. Tim just, I'll keep him away from you right now. He could get violent. I could see him coming over the top of me after. And Mike LaValliere, of course, as I mentioned, if you look at his career, the complete evolution of a minor league player into a major league player with, I think, the cards stacked against them. Not too many guys that sign as free agents didn't play out their option, convert to catching, make the major leagues, and LaValliere has done a tremendous job here in Pittsburgh as Sid Bream steps in and takes strike one.
Now he's learning how to steal bases. He got his first stolen base since 1983 the other day.
It's amazing. He said he's set now. His quota is filled. Here's the guy having a fine year with the Pirates. Sid Bream batting .287, 8 home runs and 44 RBIs. As Ralph said, he leads the league in fielding.
And he has really hit the Mets well. 15 for 41 this year with 1 home run, 5 runs batted in. Talking to Davey Johnson, and I said, the Mets better figure out a way to pitch this guy. They've been pitching him wrong. He likes the ball away from him, and the Mets have been pitching him away.
Ojeda checks Bonilla and then goes home with the breaking ball down low. 2-1. You know, talking about the Gold Gloves, and of course, Sid Bream leading the league in fielding, that does not necessarily give you a lock on the Gold Glove.
Well, he doesn't have the range that Keith Hernandez has, and that is the man who has won the Gold Gloves.
Fouled off. Well, I told you there have been 34 recipients or 34 Gold Glove winners with the Pirates. With the Mets, there have been 8. Keith Hernandez, as a member of the Mets, has won 5. Tommy Agee has won 1. Buddy Harrelson also picked up a Gold Glove, and there's one other guy. I'll bet he won't come to mind in a hurry.
Well, I can tell you one that should have won it. I don't know if he did. I can't remember whether or not he did. Jerry Grody.
You know, he didn't win it. Imagine that. But I'll give you a hint. This guy played second base.
Well, it would have to be Ken Boswell. He set the record for the fewest errors at second.
How about Doug Flynn?
Doug Flynn would have been a good fielder.
Yeah, he got it.
He could have got it.
So the Mets had 8 of them, and the Pirates had 34. Of course, Clemente with 12. It's going to be tough to beat.
Green striking out on that fastball. He's hitting only .207 against left-hand pitching.
And here's a young catcher, Tom Prince, as Ralph mentioned. A young battery tonight.
His first major league hit was a home run off Bob Ojeda. That came last year.
So you think the computer has him in the lineup tonight? Swung on and missed. 1-1. He's had some pretty good years in the minor leagues. Better years offensively. And Mike LaValliere. He's hit more home runs. He hit .307 in Harrisburg. Of course, before that he didn't do very well as he fouls the ball off the end of the bat. 1-2. Last year in Pittsburgh, he had .222 with 1 home run, as Ralph mentioned, off of Bobby Ojeda. He had 2 RBIs. 23 years old. So we have, how about this battery tonight? 23 and 24?
Nice young players. They have a nice young ball club.
And you're looking at one over at first base, Bobby Bonilla. And Prince takes strike 3 from Ojeda. That'll do it for the Buccos. They strand a runner on first base. They fail to score. After 2, there is no score. Well, back live at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Nice crowd on hand. Game 4, the Mets and the Buccos. Pirates 7 games out of first place. There's a guy who's in the driver's seat here with the New York Mets, Davey Johnson. Resting his players. And talking about throwing to Mel Stottlemyre. You could see he was talking about getting the ball to move. Had to be talking about pitching. You don't want your third baseman to have good ball movement.
Davey, of course, an outstanding ball player for Baltimore, then Atlanta, and then with the Philadelphia Phillies. Hit 2 pinch hit grand slam home runs.
He was a good player. He broke in as a shortstop in the minor leagues. And speaking of shortstops, Kevin Elster leads off for the Mets. Top of the 3rd inning, and Elster right now batting .219, 7 home runs and 30 RBIs, doing a fine job picking it at shortstop.
3 of his 7 home runs against the Pirates.
And he takes a strike. 1-1. Elster is one of those shortstops, I guess the modern young shortstop, who can use both hands catching the ball, which you're taught to do, but he can also play shortstop by using that one hand, that soft hand. He just hit a rope right through Bonilla's legs. Bonilla should have come up with the ball, and I'm sure it'll be scored in error, but that ball was tattooed.
Well, it came off of the dirt part of the infield and takes a skip down, and it goes right on by Bonilla. And it is being scored in error as it goes all the way to left field. Bonilla now has made 23 errors at third. Pirates are tied for 7th in fielding in the National League with 90 errors now. The Mets lead the league in fielding. They've made only 79 errors.
And the batter now, Bobby Ojeda, batting 196. And he bunts the ball right back to Reed. He goes for the sure out at first. He did have a shot at second base, but he went for the sure out. That'll happen a lot of times to a young pitcher in a game like this, his first game in the big leagues. He's not going to take that chance. He gets Bobby Ojeda at first, and the runner Elster is now on second base.
Well, there are more big innings started when you try to pick up the force play on the bunt at second base. If you don't get it, you got runners at first and second, and it really does hurt.
So you're saying never go for the guy at second?
I don't say never, but you better make it very, very sure. And I agree with you. He's pitching his first major league game, and he probably did what he was taught. Get the sure out. It'd have been close at second.
So far, he's pitching very well. And he's going to face Lenny Dykstra, who popped it short his first time up, and he takes a strike. Hard to believe that a pitcher could pitch in the major leagues with an 83-mile-per-hour fastball. But as you mentioned, he's changing speeds very well tonight.
It's hard to get to the major leagues when you don't throw hard.
That's a good point, because usually scouts won't even give you a second thought. But he was so successful in A-ball, AA, and AAA this year, and they needed a pitcher for this game. Pulled foul. I like the statement before the game. He's been dreaming of pitching against the Mets because he's always dreamed of pitching against the best team in baseball, and he feels right now the Mets are that team. But Ralph, don't you want to do it maybe your third start? Why your first?
A lot of managers wouldn't put him in this spot, but they're strapped. John Smiley was scheduled to pitch tonight. He got in that fight with Hubie Brooks, and he won't admit it, but they believe he was really hurt in that fight.
When he fouls the pitch off. That's why a lot of times your team will protect the pitcher. That's why your catcher is supposed to protect your pitcher. But if Hubie Brooks took off after Smiley, he was sprinting.
Smiley really decked him after a home run by Galarraga, and Brooks got out there, and he ripped him a couple of times. Then they supposedly started up again under the stands.
That's like the old days when the guys used to go under the stands to throw some punches. Well, it was a break for Rick Reed, and so far he's taking advantage of the break. We're in the top of the 3rd inning here in Pittsburgh. 0-2 count on Dykstra with 1 man out. There's a drive to right field, and outstanding play by Mike Diaz. Great play by Rambo.
Well, they say they can't find a position for Mike Diaz and that he should be a DH in the American League. But right here, he does a fine job of taking an extra base hit away from Lenny Dykstra. Covers a lot of ground, makes a nice running catch. And on the play, Elster, who was halfway, goes back to second. Good play by Mike Diaz. He's caught, he's played first, he's played third, he's played left, he's played right.
His only problem this year, I guess, is with the bat.
Played a game at first where he had no chances tying a major league record.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the batter now is Wally Backman with 2 men down. Runner on second base, and Backman hits a ball left field. Bonds is there, and Barry gloves it. 3 down. That'll do it for the Mets. They leave a runner stranded on second base again, so they've left 2 runners in scoring position in 3 innings here at Pittsburgh. Still no score. Now let's go to Gus Herkert in our studios for a Sports Channel update. Gus?
And thank you, Fran. While you've been watching the Mets-Pirates game, we've been keeping track of the other games around the league. A game of interest to the east is the battle between the Expos and Cards at Busch Stadium. That one is set for an 8:35 start Perez and Forge. Also tonight, an historic event for baseball. The last stadium to add night baseball did so at 8:09 this evening as the Cubs played host to the Phillies in the newly lighted Wrigley Field. Here's an interesting note. The first man up, Phil Bradley, hit a home run. So the first pitch under the lights went for a home run. Chicago leads 2-1. And this afternoon, Gary Player won the United States Open Senior Golf Championship for the 2nd consecutive year by edging Bob Charles in an 18-hole playoff. Player finished his round at 4 under par. Send you back to Three Rivers Stadium right after this.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by the Tri-State Area Midas Muffler and Brake Specialists. Come on in and let us show you why nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Well, the Pirates and the Mets. Bottom of the 3rd inning, and of course, after tonight's game, the Mets will travel to Chicago for 3 games in Chi-Town. Then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 4 games against the Montreal Expos, who are in 2nd place in the National League East. And those games are sold out, Mr. Kiner.
All 3 of them. And, of course, Sunday a doubleheader. Banner day.
So big day. Sunday, of course, all 3 games sold out. So take New York Transit out to meet the Mets. The number 7 train is the winning way to Shea, and it's 4 games against the Expos this weekend. The doubleheader on Sunday, which Ralph said, is Banner Day. So bring your banners out to Shea. Rafael Belliard, the batter, against Bobby O. Takes up high, 1-1.
Now here's a fellow that has done something that no one has done in the major leagues. He has had 15 hits with runners in scoring position, runners at 2nd and 3rd, and he has driven in only 9 runs.
Gotta get some speed on those bases.
Can you imagine that? 15 hits, and he has driven in only 9 runs with runners at 2nd and 3rd. They couldn't score from 2nd. He is 5 for 54, hitting .093 in his last 19 games.
The 2-1 pitch. It's now 2-2. You figure he would walk a lot, batting in the 8th slot. But just because you hit in the 8th slot, I guess doesn't mean you're going to walk a lot, because the man who has the record for walks here in Pittsburgh in 1 season, the record holder, is Mr. Ralph Kiner. Did you know that?
No. How'd you know that? Why didn't you
just
tell
the way
me
you
sooner?
walk. Just the way you walk. I could see it.
I've been going all these years without knowing that.
Well, I'll tell you, you had it. Now, you had 137 in 1951. I was 3 years old then.
Only hit 51 home runs.
I would have walked you, too. There's a foul ball. 51 dingers. And, you know, it's funny. The guy who walked the most in the National League, the record, it's a tie. Jimmy Wynn of Houston, 148 times, is tied. You would figure Jimmy Wynn would walk 148 times. He's tied with Eddie Stanky.
Well, Stanky tried to walk. He fouled balls off when the count got to 2 strikes until he got ball 4. And he could do that with the best of them.
Well, Belliard fouls that ball out of play, so it's 2-2 on Rafael Belliard. Stanky has the record for the Giants, and he also has the record for the Dodgers with 148. And Bobby Ojeda takes the sign, and the 2-2 pitch is a ground ball to second base. Score at 4-3.
Of course, Eddie Stanky was known as the Brat. And Eddie Yost, who also got a lot of walks, but not as many as Stanky, was known as a walking man.
Yeah, why?
Well, he did walk a lot, and he had that reputation in the American League playing for the Washington Senators. But Stanky used to give walks because he would foul the ball off to the left side and spoil all the strikes and finally get the walk.
On purpose?
On purpose.
Rick Reed, the pitcher, hits a chopper. And Bobby O takes it himself. Score that one 1-3. 2 down. You know that the Mets are the only team in the National League that has yet to break the 100 mark in walks for an individual player. The guys that hold the record, it's a tie between Keith Hernandez and Darryl Strawberry. Hernandez in '84 walked 97 times, and Strawberry in '87 walked 97 times.
Well, Darryl has a chance to do it this year. He's got 64 walks. That's 5 behind the leader. And with the season going on and on, I'm sure he will accumulate more and more walks.
Well, here's a guy who's the leadoff hitter, should have a lot of walks. Barry Bonds. He's 0 for 1 in this game. Pigs up high, ball 1. What's that saying? A walk is as good as a hit? Not if you're the guy getting a hit. Doesn't feel the same.
Well, one year, years ago in baseball, they counted walks as base hits.
That's amazing.
Back in the 1890s. A fellow named Duffy led the league with 438.
How many walks?
I really don't know that, but they counted walks as base hits.
Well, Pirates baseball here in Pittsburgh. A lot of Met fans on hand. The hotel's pretty crowded with people who've come in for the game. And a 1-1 pitch to Barry Bonds is fouled out of play. 1-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Barry Bonds. Barry shot right through the minor leagues after going to school in Arizona. And of course, he is wearing number 24. His father was a very close friend of Willie Mays, and Willie Mays popularized that number 24. And the 1-2 pitch, ground ball to Hojo. He throws a bullet to first, score at 5-3. That'll do it for the Pirates here in the bottom of the 3rd. Still, as Tim McCarver joins Ralph Kiner, no score, and we'll be back.
Well, back here at Three Rivers Stadium, it's a 0-0 ball game as we go to the top of the 4th, and coming in to join me is Tim McCarver. And Tim and I were riding the elevator to our rooms in the hotel that we stay in here in Pittsburgh, and a lady was on the elevator and she says, "That's Tim McCarver. I was on the elevator with you yesterday, but I didn't know who you are. Do you remember me?"
Yeah, she said, "Do you remember me? I didn't know who you were. Do you remember me?" I said, "How do I remember you if you didn't know who I was? I don't know who you were to begin with. If you didn't know who I was, how would I remember you? So how can you ask a question like that?" I had no idea what she was talking about. None. Zero.
So people who remember Tim McCarver, please mention it
Yeah, really.
when you see him in the elevator.
I didn't know you were on here, but do you remember me? I couldn't figure that out. So if she didn't remember I was on there, how could I remember? That was funny.
Keith Hernandez will lead it off for the Mets. He has the only hit of the ball game for the New York Mets. Bonilla has the only hit for the Pirates. And we're in the top of the 4th. The first pitch, strike 1. Rick Reed on the mound, his major league debut. And this one up the middle, and Keith Hernandez now 2 for 2.
Good hitting by Keith. Let's take a look at the National League scoreboard. Montreal at St. Louis. That's a key game. We will keep you informed as to the progress of that game. It starts in about 11 minutes. Chicago at Philadelphia, Philadelphia at Chicago. The first night game in the history of that ballpark. It's 2-1 Chicago over Philadelphia after 1. Atlanta over San Francisco after 2. And Los Angeles at Houston later on tonight.
Well, the Phillies played in the first night game ever played 53 years ago.
Yeah, against the Reds.
Against the Cincinnati Reds. And now the first night game ever. A try for the double play, and they get it. As Keith Hernandez is erased, Kevin McReynolds hitting into the double play.
Easy play for Reed. He throws to the base, leaned is there, and an easy double play.
So that'll bring up Gary Carter with no one on. Carter grounded out the 3rd on his first pitch, a breaking ball, his first time up. Gets a curveball his first time up. First pitch his second time up.
The American League, Kansas City at Toronto, middle of the second, no score. Cleveland and Minnesota. Cleveland didn't score in the first inning, and 3 other games not in progress yet. Detroit at Texas, Seattle at California, and Chicago at Oakland.
Carter 9 for 37 against the Pirates with no home runs. And he gets another breaking ball, and it's grounded foul.
You know, Gary started out this year like a house of fire. He had 7 home runs on April 26th after that home run he hit, and he has had 1 since then. He has hit well since the All-Star game, batting over 300 in 17 games.
He's hitting .316 in his last 17 games, but they've been mostly singles, and a lot of them to the opposite field. He's hit 3 balls out of the ballpark, and they've all been foul. There's another one hit fairly well. It's to center, though. That ends the inning. One hit, a double play, no one left, and the score at the end of 3.5 innings. The Mets nothing, and the Pirates nothing.
Attention Mets fans. Attention, attention, please. Speaking of Wrigley Field, you remember Pat Piper there, Ralph, when he
Certainly do.
used to say that? Tension, tension, please. So tension, Mets fans. Emerson Banner Day contest on Sunday, August 14th at Shea is sold out. Please remember that only those banners carried by 1 or 2 persons will be permitted on the field. The parade will run between games of the Mets Expos doubleheader. Please note that the first game begins at 12:05, so that's important. 12:05 beginning for game 1. There will be thousands of dollars worth of prizes given away: a 27-inch Emerson Color TV, an Emerson VSH or VHS camcorder, an Emerson VCR, and a microwave oven. Mets tickets are still available for the Expo. No, they're not either. They were available, but we find out that all 3 games are sold out. But when this promo was written, that game on Friday was available, right? Well, there's no need to call 718-507-TIXX during business hours unless, of course, you're calling about the games of the West Coast teams, and they begin the 26th. San Francisco in for a weekend series, then San Diego, and after an off day, L.A.
And now we go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and Jose Lean swings and fouls off the first pitch. Lean was struck out looking at a curveball his first time up. Ojeda has struck out 3. He has not walked the batter, and he has given up 1 hit. Lean has an idea about bunting his way on, fouls it off, strike 2.
The only game that the Pirates have won in this homestand, they're 1-5, and that was a 10-inning game, and they had to come from behind to do that. Home run by Rex Hudler of Montreal on the top of the 10th, and the Pirates scored 2 in the bottom of the 10th to win their only game in this series.
They were hot. They won 12 of 13, including 9 straight, to cut the Mets lead by 7 games. Ground ball out to second. Might be a base hit. Lean on his way, and he does beat it out. So an infield hit for Jose Lean. He had been 0 for 20, and this is his first hit.
Well, you can't be everywhere. Wally Backman had him shaded in the hole because he does hit so many balls to the right side, but he finds a seam and finally gets a hit.
First hit of the series. He's now 1 for 14.
I heard Pat Piper, who is a delightful fella, used to coach first base with Detroit, and he said sometimes you get in a slump, you get down to first base, you want to kiss the bag. You haven't been down there in so long. That's a feeling, I'll tell you, boy. Sometimes you forget how to hit after a while.
And now the batter, Andy Van Slyke, and he takes a pitch. It's ball 1. Van Slyke brought an 8-game hitting streak into this game, hitting .433 over the 8 games with 3 home runs, 5 RBIs. He's 4 for 12 in this series. There goes the runner, and the ball is fouled back out of play. So the hit and run was on.
sometimes, Ralph, hitting instructors, and we talk about them, and you and I agree and disagree, and that's the way baseball is, but sometimes hitting instructors are better off when a guy's going too bad to just tell him to go back to your animal instincts and hit what you see.
That's exactly right.
Just
you can get so psyched out trying all the things that you hear.
Worried about your shoulder and your hands and your legs and your hips and your rear end and all that. Stay on top. Get too many things to think about and you forget to swing the bat.
Get paralysis from analysis.
Yeah.
One of the best ways to really handle that situation is try and hit everything back through the middle, and a lot of times hit and run plays are good for you, where you have to hit the ball no matter where it is. Another throw to first base. Pirates have not stolen many bases. They have only 68. They've been successful 61% of the time. Lean has a total of 8 stolen bases in 10 attempts. There goes the runner again. A swing and a miss. A throw by Carter is in the dirt and on through into center field. So a stolen base, an error charge to Carter, and the Pirates have a runner at third with no one out.
Well, Van Slyke interferes with Carter here, and I know what everybody's going to say. Well, he didn't mean to do it, but he did not clear the path, allowing Carter to throw. Gary doesn't have a chance to get leaned anyway, but certainly I don't think he makes that error if Van Slyke's not in the way. That's really a problem for umpires, because there are a lot of guys whose swing carries them into that lane, and I know it's not intentional, but nonetheless, it's still interfering with the catcher's throw, unintentional or not.
And it could be called by the home plate umpire's interference. And a swing and a miss, and Van Slyke is struck out. Van Slyke having trouble with left-handers in spite of a great year going, hitting .295, but against left-handers he came in at .194.
Tough pitch by Ojeda. That breaking ball off the plate away.
Van Slyke would be up among the leaders in hitting if he didn't have so much trouble with left-handers. So one away, a runner still at third. The Mets still have their infield back, and the batter is Bobby Bonilla. And he grounds it slowly out to short. Only one play, and that's at first base. And the Pirates score a run. They take the lead 1-0.
Well, it's really proper to play your infield back, even though it's a scoreless game in the fourth inning. The theory that you go by is that you have to score to win anyway. And you just can't take a chance on the Pirates having a big inning because the infield's in. And that's why Davey Johnson properly had them play back. Unfortunately, if they were in, then the runner from third doesn't score. But you can't guard against everything.
Later on in the game, you would have the infield in. So now the batter will be Mike Diaz, who flied out to fairly deep center his first time up, and on the check swing he gets a base hit. Mookie Wilson over. The play at second base is not going to be in time.
He came awfully close to missing first base. If he didn't miss it, he just got the corner of the bag. Check swing, and there's nothing Hernandez can do but just helplessly watch it. See, he got the corner of the bag, but boy, I mean, he just got it. Check swing double for Diaz.
So two rather bloody base hits for the Pirates in this inning. They take the lead 1-0, and Sid Bream is a batter. Sid was struck out his first time up. And he grounds it slowly down to Keith Hernandez at first. And that'll do it. But one run in the inning, it was earned. There were two hits, one error, and one left to score at the end of 4. The Pirates won, the New York Mets nothing. Well, Rick Reed working with economy in this ball game. He's thrown on only 42 pitches through the first 4 innings. He has shown fine control. He has struck out 2 batters. And he is making his major league debut, so he is working on the winning side of this ball game, leading by a score of 1-0 after 4. The Mets will be sending up Howard Johnson, Mookie Wilson, and Kevin Elster as their first 3 batters. Johnson was struck out his first time up, swinging over the top of a curveball. And he swings at a fastball and pops it up. Sid Bream picks up the out, 1 away here in the top of the 5th inning. That'll bring up Mookie Wilson, who flied out the deep left his first time up.
I'm really surprised Darryl Strawberry's not in there tonight. I could understand it if it were against John Smiley, but you said Davey said that Darryl had asked for an off day. I can understand that, but against a guy like this guy looks like he's the type of pitcher that a left-handed hitter like Strawberry would really want to be in there hitting against.
He does not throw hard, as you can tell. Mookie taking the first pitch for strike 1. And the fastball, ball 1, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Rick Reed, a 26th round draft choice, which means that at least 650 players were drafted before him. It's amazing.
And a ground ball up the middle, a base hit for Mookie Wilson. Mookie in his second time up against Reed.
Good hitting by Mookie. The 3 base hits for the Mets, 2 by Hernandez, 1 to left and 1 up the middle, and now Mookie Wilson up the middle.
Mookie hitting only .224 against left-hand pitching with a home run yesterday. And he is a threat to steal. The runner at first with Kevin Elster, the batter. Kevin reached first base on an error by Bonilla his first time up. Got as far as second. The Mets have had 2 base runners in scoring position. Pirates leading 1-0 as Mookie is chased back. Mookie with 10 stolen bases in 13 attempts. Pirates have been good at throwing runners out. They have thrown out 29% of the base runners attempting to steal. The Mets have been successful 73% of the time. And a breaking ball for a ball. Elster 1 for 8 in this series, but he has hit 3 home runs against the Pirates this year.
Last 3 home runs Kevin has hit has been against the Pirates, and he won Bobby Ojita's game 10 days ago with a home run.
And the fastball, throw to first base, Mookie back.
Strong throw by Prince. Mookie just back. Prince, a football player at Wake Forest University. That's a great school. That school's produced a lot of good golfers.
A lot of
too,
good
right?
golfers. They have a Arnold Palmer scholarship for golfers there.
Great school, one of many great schools in that area. Duke, North Carolina State.
That scholarship was set up for the son of Lou Worsham, who was killed in an automobile accident by Arnold Palmer. Lou Worsham, of course, the Open champion a few years back, and at one time he was the professional at Oakmont, one of the great courses in the country, located here in Pittsburgh. In fact, I first met Arnold Palmer when he was an amateur at the ballpark.
Well, his hometown's Latrobe.
That's just about 40 miles from downtown. So Reed and Prince get together. Reed at Buffalo had a record of 4-1. That's a AAA league in the American Association. Buffalo for years used to be in the International League. They're going to draw over 1 million people up there this year.
Heard that.
Mookie Bluffs are running the pitch out. Mookie staying first base. 2 ball, 1 strike. Count on Elster, a good hit and run count now.
Yeah.
Especially after a pitch out.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Sometimes by pitching out, you remind the team that a good tool is a pitch and run. You got to talk them into it. See if he goes.
And Mookie is running. The ball is swung on and missed. The throw in the dirt, but held on to by Lean, and the Mets have a stolen base as Mookie Wilson moves in the scoring position.
So far, the tale of 2 short hops. One that skipped by Kevin Elster for an error. Leaned went to third, but Leaned catches this one and prevents the error. See if the Mets capitalize on it anyway.
Third runner in scoring position for the Mets. One with 2 men out, the other 2 with 1 man out. And Tom Prince catching this ball game. LaValliere catching the 3 previous games of this series.
Nice
And
play.
good play there. That puts a count of 3-2.
See, everybody talks about getting in front of the ball. If you've caught, you realize that there are just sometimes you can't get in front of the ball. You have to use that first baseman, that catcher's mitt, like a first baseman's mitt. That's really what that break is for. And when that ball coming and tailing away from you like that, that was the only play Prince had available to him, and he made it nicely.
So a full count to Kevin Elster. And the fastball popped up. Andy Van Slyke, the center fielder, and he puts it away. 2 men away. So Mookie has to stay at second, and that'll bring up Bob Ojeda. Ojeda has driven in 3 runs. He's had 9 hits this year. Pirates leading 1-0. 2 men out. We're in the top of the 5th inning. And this game, like all the other games in this series and the previous series with the Pirates at Shea, following the same pattern, just no hitting, especially in the early parts of the ball game. 1 strike to count to Bob Ojeda. 1 ball, 1 strike. Another good play by Tom Prince. Pirates had a great broadcaster here by the name of Bob Prince, who died a couple of years ago.
See, he gets in front of this ball, but still, you know, you just have to move so quickly. You don't know that ball's going to be to your right about 1.5 feet. Good play by Prince. Bouncing around back there.
1-1 pitch bounced up the middle. Lean cuts it off by the bag, picks up the out, and the Mets do not score. 1 hit, 1 left, and the score at the end of 4.5 innings. The Pirates won, the New York Mets nothing. Well, we're going now to the bottom of the 5th inning. Pirates leading 1-0. And Ray Miller, the pitching coach of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Miller tells his pitchers, as a matter of fact, there's a sign somewhere in the dugout, I think it's back in the tunnel, that says, work fast, change speeds, and stay ahead. Pretty good philosophy. Basic, simple, means a lot.
And we start off here with Bob Ojeda working, and his fastball is outside to Tom Prince. It's ball 1. Talking about Bob Prince, the announcer here for the Pirates, a colorful broadcaster for 25 years, brought back after being away for a while. One of the greatest stories I've ever heard was about Bob Prince, who dived out of the 4th-story window into the Chase pool, the Chase Hotel in St. Louis, on a bet for $50 with Dick Stewart. He made it, fortunately.
He bet Dick Stewart. He didn't dive with Dick Stewart.
No, no. Although he could have. Fly ball to center field by Prince. One away. And that story was written up in Sports Illustrated, and his wife said, Betty Prince, Bob, why did you tell him? I know you're crazy. You know you're crazy, but does the whole world have to know? Here is Rafael Belliard. Rafael grounded out his first time up.
I went to school at Oklahoma University one semester back in 1963, and Bob Prince's son was there at the same time.
And that's ball 1.
And Bob had called ahead to ask if I'd like to have dinner, and I did. And I met him at one of the local hotels, and I walked in, and his wife Betty was there, and Bob was in a catcher's crouch giving me the signals as I walked across the hotel lobby. Now, if you think people in Oklahoma City knew what he was doing, they had no clue what he was doing. He's flashing down signs. People are thinking,
He used to take infield practice with the ball club, and Frank Frisch, who was the manager at that time, broke his thumb, and he was drilling them at Prince, and Prince wouldn't back off. And many a time, Tim, he used to pitch batting practice to me. I'd take some extra batting practice during the day, and he'd pitch. He was a left-handed pitcher, pretty good. 3-0 the count, and there's ball 4. So Belliard, who is just dying at the plate, hitting .227, but in his last at bats, he has just not been able to get on base. He's 5 for 55 prior to that walk.
that's his 16th walk of the year and 250 at bats. 231 at bats. His 15th walk.
That's Ojeda's first walk, but a very dangerous walk. It comes ahead of the pitcher where they can sacrifice and get a runner in scoring position. Pirates are leading 1-0. One out here in the bottom half of the 5th. Johnson, the third baseman, right on top of the pitcher, and he hits it right at Johnson, who grabs it in the air, and it'll be a double play. And even though he has all day long, he could have walked over. Johnson throws it in the dirt, and a good play by Keith Hernandez. So Keith saves Howard Johnson, who caught that line drive about 60 feet away from the batter. Good play to catch it, but now terrible throw. And that ends the inning, the double play, and the score at the end of 5 innings of play. The Pirates won. The New York Mets nothing. Well, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and is intended for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Mets and Sports Channel is prohibited. Kind of want to clear up a fact here. Arnold Palmer set that scholarship up for Lou Worsham's son, who was killed in an automobile wreck. It wasn't Arnold Palmer that did it. It was somebody else. And Palmer, a close friend of Lou Worsham's, set that scholarship up at Wake Forest.
I guess that accounts for all the great golfers that they've had out of Wake Forest. What a program they have.
Well, Lenny Dykstra will lead it off. He's 0 for 2, robbed of an extra base hit by Mike Diaz in right field and a drive to deep right field. Mets have had no runs on just 3 hits off Rick Reed in his major league debut. Pirates have had 1 run on 3 hits off Bob Ojeda, and that fastball in there.
You and Fran were talking about an 83-mile-an-hour fastball, and that's what Reed throws. But it just goes to show you again, Ralph, what you can do when you don't walk anybody. He has struck out 2. He's walked no one. Dykstra complains about this pitch. It was not too high, that pitch.
And you can hear the ball players yell, "Go warm up," when you have a pitcher that doesn't throw too hard. This is a breaking ball.
We've already seen one rookie shutout this year. That was by Jeff Pico of the Chicago Cubs. First time in eons that a Chicago Cub rookie has hurled a no-hitter or a shutout.
See where Jack Armstrong, the All-American boy, pitched a no-hitter down in the minor leagues. He made his debut against the Mets.
For the Nashville Sounds, walked 1, struck out 11 2 nights ago.
1 ball, 2 strikes. One and 2, the count to Lenny Dykstra. The Mets having trouble getting runners on base. And that fastball misses. 2 and 2.
Going out to dinner last night, and a cab driver told me that he had a great line. He said, you know, the way the Pirates are hitting, a 2-0 count's a rally.
This cab driver's got an answer.
I thought, can I use that? He said, oh, yeah, go ahead. What do you do?
High pop-up on the third base side. The shortstop, Belliard, moving Bonilla out of the way and then making the play.
Second baseman, Wally Backman.
Danny Reagan tells us that the night after Jack Armstrong's no-hitter, that Randy Johnson and Pat Pasillo no-hit the team against whom they were playing, and they lost 1-0. So 2 no-hitters back-to-back.
Now Wally Backman takes it, and it's ball 1. And also of note, in Memphis, Tennessee, the hometown of Tim McCarver, Jody Mudd won his first golf tournament. Danny Thomas.
171 grand. Federal Express, St. Jude's Open down there. So his name's not Mudd anymore.
No more. Houston won, the Dodgers nothing. That ball game in the first inning, just finishing the first inning. Houston starting 2.5 games back of the Dodgers. And the fastball. 3-0 to Wally Backman, who has struck out and flied to left. Boy, it looked hot down there in Memphis.
Steaming at Delta, right at the north tip of the Delta where Memphis lies. And with that river floating along, let me tell you, brother, it can get hot.
It's a little hot on Beale Street, too, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
3-0.
Home of W.C. Handy and the Blues. Elvis Presley got his start there at Sun Record Company under the tutelage of Sam Phillips.
I hate to bring up the name of Louis Armstrong because it cost me so much the last time, but he played for W.C. Handy.
Played in his band.
Yeah.
Sam Phillips made one of the shrewdest business decisions of all time. He sold Elvis Presley's contract to RCA for $35,000.
3-2 to Wally Backman, and ball 4. So the Mets get a walk with 1 out here in the 6th, trailing 1-0.
Sounds like one of my investments.
First walk given up by Rick Reed.
Hernandez has really been on Reed. He singled the left and singled up the middle. And when a hitter is hitting that well against a pitcher, you're less inclined to put the hit and run on because he's reading him so well. Let's see what Davey decides to do. You have to swing at a pitch when the runner runs. And if you're reading a pitcher well, you want to be able to choose a pitch at which to swing.
When Keith came back off the DL, he came up his first time and doubled, and then won the ball game against the Pirates with a 2-run home run.
3-0 fastball from Dave Rucker Friday night.
Keith, coming back off the DL, now has had 5 hits and 11 at-bats. And there's a check swing foul ball.
2 change-ups in a row. Keith saying that ball was away. Strike. Okay.
When you haven't played for a while, it's a little hard to readjust the strike zone. And a ball call, 1-2.
I know Fran will love this, but with 2 strikes on Hernandez, Hernandez one of the better 2-strike hitters. And I was downstairs in the first 3 innings listening to Jim Rooker, and he said that Hal McRae, formerly a great 2-strike hitter, was in town, that was in Pittsburgh, and with Milton May made a video called 2-strike hitting. Should be interesting. And certainly should be explored more than it is in baseball.
It's a whole new science, hitting with 2 strikes. We really have to hit differently. Just got word that Wade Boggs is hitting .397 with 2 strikes on it. Andy Reagan, our informant on that one. And this ball pulled foul, so the count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, Hernandez's theory is a good one. He does not allow the pitcher to get him out of way. Now, the pitcher may get him out of way, but Hernandez doesn't adjust. He doesn't move up on the plate. He adjusts his thinking. Wait. He's telling himself, wait, wait, wait. He said that 3 times, which means you can jam him. And Hernandez admits that he's vulnerable inside with 2 strikes on him.
But the thing about inside is that you can get the bat on the ball.
Right. If you're looking inside and he throws it away, you can't get the bat on the ball. If you're looking away and he throws it inside, you can get jammed and still get a base hit.
1-2 the count to Hernandez, and that one inside. And Keith on a check swing is struck out. Good piece of pitching by Rick Reed there.
You better believe it. As we said, you see how Hernandez is plunging into that outside part of the plate. He didn't want to go, but he went too far. See that shoulder? That shoulder closed, and Rick Reed, a fine piece of pitching. Really a fine pitch with 2 strikes on Hernandez.
That is his 3rd strikeout. And with 2 men out, the batter will be Kevin McReynolds. Kevin has fouled out, and he also has grounded into a double play started by the pitcher.
We talked about this at some length, Ralph, but, you know, Little League pitchers grow up thinking that 2 strikes is the time to throw the breaking ball and the curveball. And the reason for that is they can't get the curveball over early in the count. They don't throw first pitch breaking balls like that one was, and they don't throw it behind in the count because they can't get it over. So the mentality of baseball players growing up is that a curveball is the best pitch to throw with 2 strikes. But generally speaking, it's not. It's better to throw the off-speed pitch earlier in the count and to bust the fastball with 2 strikes. The better the hitter, the more you can bust him.
That is so true, because when you're hitting with 2 strikes, you hit defensively and you tell yourself to wait. You don't pull as much, and you're looking for something off speed, a breaking ball or whatever. You can't look totally that way, but you have to set up so that you protect against a fastball and hope to foul it and hit the curveball.
Precisely.
I know when I was hitting with 2 strikes, I really looked for the slider.
Well, that means you're looking away, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Because if they threw the curve, I was still back and could hit it. And if they threw the fastball, it was closer to the slider, and I could still hopefully get a piece of the bat on the ball.
Pretty good thinking. Never heard it expressed that way, but that makes a lot of sense. You can always adjust to the off-speed pitch if you're looking hard, and a slider is not an off-speed pitch. Generally, it's about as fast as the fastball.
Another thing that I did, and Ted Williams did too, I would choke up on the bat with 2 strikes.
Well, I didn't do that, but I choked up in my mind. And if you're looking away, you're choking up on your mind.
You delay your movement into the ball.
Yeah, I know that sounds strange, but you're thinking away to the point where you may not do it on the bat, but your shoulder position means that you're looking away to the extent that it's just as good as choking up.
And the runner going with a pitch, but it's fouled off. So Backman back.
There's no formula that is dead set. I mean, you have to, in all hitting, it's your particular style, and knowing your style is so very important. But when you hear good hitting theory, it's often good to pick up on something like that, because it can only help you. And all good hitters with 2 strikes are guys that look away. Joe Torre, an outstanding 2-strike hitter.
3-2. The runner will be going. There goes Backman. The ball is hit out to center field. Van Slyke quickly off to get there, and he makes another brilliant catch. Andy Van Slyke, and he turned into play even better than that yesterday. That ends the inning. The Mets leave one, and the score at the end of 5.5 innings. The Pirates 1, the New York Mets nothing.
Andy Van Slyke, with those great instincts, as Ralph said, ran to the spot where he thought the ball was going to be. See, he turns wrong initially, but then he looks back correctly. That's just great instincts right there. You can't teach that, Ralph.
Well, that's a brilliant play, and he was off literally with the crack of the bat. That saved the run for the Pirates, and the Mets now take the field. Bottom half of the 6th inning, and trailing by a score of 1-0. The leadoff batter, Barry Bonds, the first pitch, ball 1. Bonds 0 for 2 tonight. Bonds 3 for 14 in this 4-game series. One of those base hits, a big 2-run home run.
1-0 breaking ball, like we were talking at the top half of the inning. You throw breaking balls behind in the counts for strikes, and that's a winning style of pitching.
Back to the breaking ball. It's 2-1. Right here, Bonds is a definite fastball hitter, and I would be very surprised if he doesn't get a changeup in this spot. He went to the fastball. Tony Dykstra coming around to make the catch, 1 away.
I think if he were a right-handed hitter, Bobby would be more inclined to give him the changeup. The changeup's not as effective lefty to lefty, especially when Ojeda's spot is outside to a right-handed hitter. That's a dangerous spot to throw that changeup, and that's probably the reason that he threw the fastball away on that count. Again, there's no set formula. It's a little give and take with good sound foundation. That's what baseball and pitching and working counts really is.
You got to give yourself every chance to work the percentages your way. This is Jose Lean, who has an infield hit in 2 times up, and he has scored the only run of the ball game. After the infield hit, he stole second and went to third in the throwing error and scored later in a double. Bases. McReynolds over to head it off, and does, as Lean goes in with a double.
So Lean to 0 for 20 before his last time up has 2 straight hits, and Howard Johnson playing him off the line, and that's where he should be. Balls down the lines are doubles, and this is what this ball was. It's up to the pitcher and catcher to keep it off the lines, but sometimes you just got to give credit to the hitter.
Well, that'll bring up Andy Van Slyke, who is 0 for 2. He has grounded out and struck out. Pirates leading 1-0. A runner at second with 1 man out, bottom of the 6th inning. And there's ball 1.
We understand the Expos and the Cardinals tied. No score, top of the 2nd inning. And how about this, Ralph? The first night game at Wrigley Field, Phil Bradley led off the game with a home run. Phillies lead 2-1.
So evidently the wind's blowing out at night. Big question as to whether or not the wind would be such a factor at Wrigley Field at night. I doubt if it will be.
Mets will find that out tomorrow night, nationally televised game.
And a swing and a miss. It's 1-1. The first home run ever hit in a night game back in 1935 was hit by Babe Herman. Van Slyke has an 8-game hitting streak. And he hits this ball to left field. McReynolds back to the warning track, and he has room to make the play. So lean back to second base as the throw comes in to Backman, and 2 men away.
Check Andy Van Slyke's head when he makes contact. Look at his head right on the ball. See that head? Boy, that was a great piece of hitting. He just got under it a little bit, and a nice play by Kevin McReynolds. Speaking of instincts, huh? Nice.
So now 2 men out, and the batter will be Bobby Bonilla, who had a blue base hit back in the second. 1 for 2 tonight. And it's right off the end of the bat, strike 1.
Mike Laga has just driven in the first run of the game for the Cardinals. The Cardinals on top of the Expos 1-0 in the bottom of the second inning. Expos in town this weekend at Shea. All 4 games on 3 days are sellouts. Mass transportation is suggested.
And this ball has popped up. Elster back in the shallow left field. And he makes the catch, and that'll do it. 1 hit, a double by Jose Lane, 1 left, and the score at the end of 6. As Fran Healy joins Tim McCarver, it's the Pirates 1, the New York Mets 0.
Well, a big story is unfolding here at Three Rivers Stadium. Rick Reed has tossed a 3-hitter at the Mets. He's leading 1-0 top of the 7th, and Fran Healy back in. What a performance by this young guy.
Boy, he's really throwing the ball well, and as you mentioned, 83-mile-per-hour fastball. He's throwing strikes. He's gone from A ball to AA ball to AAA ball, and not only got into the major leagues, but in a game of this magnitude against the New York Mets, and pitching brilliantly, and pitching to a young catcher.
24-year-old Tom Prince.
I got to believe that Ray Miller is calling the signs from the dugout.
We mentioned Tom Prince went to Wake Forest. Rick Reed went to Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia. That's his hometown. As Gary Carter takes a breaking ball outside. Gary 0 for 2 on the night. Strike 1, 1-1. One nothing Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh scoring a run in the 4th inning. And another one hit foul. Ralph Kiner alluding to Gary Carter's foul balls, and alluding to that is no illusion.
That's right. Gary Carter flirting with number 300, but they're getting the bat way out in front. Rick Reed keeping the Mets off balance all night. You know, it's the 3rd time around. Ordinarily, you're comfortable the 3rd time around as you look at the 300 home run banner for Gary Carter.
Grounded, foul at 3rd.
It could be that the Mets are looking for a little bit more from Rick Reed. Maybe they're surprised he's not throwing the ball that hard because they have been off balance most of the evening.
The key is the 3rd time around. That's when you figure that a young pitcher in particular is much more predictable, but Rick Reed has not shown that tonight. 1-2 to Carter. Outside, ball 2, 2-2.
He said before the game he does not have a pitch that's his specialty. He said he mixes them up and changes speeds. That's what they're going to get, and that's what they've gotten all night.
Did you hear the story about him before the ball game coming to the clubhouse tonight? Low, ball 3, 3-2.
the bags were in the Pirate clubhouse. They were all piled against the wall, and he said, "What are those for?" And Jim Leland said, "We're going on the road after the game." He said, "Oh, I guess I better go back and pack." He went back home and packed.
That's funny.
Strike 3. Carter does not agree with Greg Bonet, and he's got something to say to Bonet.
Well, I'll tell you, if he's got something like this to say, Bonet might as well listen, because Gary Carter's out of character. Part of the frustration Gary's experiencing, chasing the 300th home run, not having a good year throwing the ball. Like anybody else, Gary's frustrated. Let's take a look at that pitch again. He should be. That ball's off the plate. That's not a strike. And, you know, he's frustrated. Although Gary's swinging the bat a whole lot better than he had been. But it's still not the Gary Carter of old. Well, you never see Gary Carter go face-to-face with an umpire.
Rarely. Greg Bonet was at second base the other night when Carter was called out in a sacrifice situation. And now it's Bonet again. Howard Johnson has struck out and popped to first. Ball and no strikes to Hojo. 1 out here in the 7th, 1-0 Pittsburgh. Curveball popped up again. Prince threw the mask at the feet of Johnson inadvertently, but Tom makes the play. 2 out.
I think it's getting to the point where Howard Johnson should see all breaking balls in a situation where he can hurt your off-speed pitches. It amazes me that pitchers will throw him fastballs. It also
in the strike zone.
Yeah, I feel that you should show it to him off the plate.
Yeah.
And let him see the fastball so he feels you're going to throw it to him, but I throw him all off-speed pitches until he shows you he can hammer it.
You know, it's amazing as you see Mookie Wilson, it's amazing the fly balls outs that Johnson has as opposed to ground balls. Remarkable. I'm sure Elias will have that for us next year. 5 in a row retired by the young Rick Reed. 1-0 Pittsburgh after 6.5. Now let's go to Gus Hergert in our studios for a Sports Channel update.
And thank you, Tim. While you've been watching the Pirates and Mets, we've been keeping an eye on the rest of the East. At Busch Stadium, hard-charging Montreal faces St. Louis. They're now tied at 1 each in the 3rd. And it was lights up at Wrigley tonight. 6,852 straight day games, and boy, did Phil Bradley know what to do when the first pitch was thrown. He hammered it for a home run. Chicago leads Philadelphia 3-1. It is a rain delay now in the bottom of the 4th. Yankees and Bo Sox are off tonight. They'll be chasing Detroit when they play next. Detroit and Texas are no score in the bottom of the 3rd. Complete scores on Sports Nightly after the game. Send you back to Three Rivers after this.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by the Tri-State Area Midas Muffler and Brake Specialists. Come on in and let us show you why nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Well, Gary Carter still not happy talking to Greg Bonet. And Bonet really getting burnt up. Gary came out talking to Bonet, and then Bonet walked away from him, which was a good move, but eventually he had to come back, and here they go at it right now. The only thing is Gary Carter won't get thrown out of the game because usually you have to say something obscene to get thrown out of the game. And here's Gary. Now watch, this is between innings. Bonet walks by, Gary Carter talks to him. Now look at Bonet shake his hand. Of course, that can incite a player also. Might as well just keep on walking.
Yeah, but still, I mean, he did walk away from him, and we have said that, you know, the umpires show arrogance when they just hang around. So Bonet did the proper thing, but of course, you can't call balls and strikes from the stands. Like D, that's right. You got to come up behind the catcher before long.
Well, Gary did have a legitimate gripe.
Diaz 1 for 2 on the night. 1-0 Pittsburgh. We're in the 7th. Lined foul.
When I look at this ball game, it reminds me of a Cardinal game against the Mets. Jose Lean beat out an infield hit, stole second with the 3rd on an error, scored on an infield out.
Cardinals game against the Mets or against the Pirates?
Cardinal game against the Mets, you know, like that's how they score.
Oh, yeah.
Infield hit,
I see what you mean.
steal a base, go to 3rd on the error, score on the infield out.
As an example, the Cardinals are leading 1-0 in the bottom of the 2nd, our last report. And it was an infield ground out by Mike Laga that netted the run. Houston has really taken charge of the Dodgers. They lead 4-0 in the first inning. Mike Scott pitching that game.
By the way, it's now 1-1 the Expos Cards in the top of the third.
Single by Dave Martinez, scoring Rex Hudler. Boy, what a job that Hudler has done.
I can remember when the Yankees signed him as a major prospect, and of course he lingered in the minor leagues for many years.
Off the campus of Michigan State. He was a football player, and what better football player to be named Hudler?
Yeah.
2-2 to Mike Diaz.
I think as Otis Nixon was also a product of the Yankee farm system. Now here's the pitch to Mike Diaz. They call this guy Rambo here in Pittsburgh. Here's the pitch before the foul ball, and similar to the pitch Carter took. And it's called the ball. Now I'm sure Gary Carter had something to say about that pitch. But wisely kept his head turned towards the infield.
Curveball lifted to right. A long way to run for Wilson, and he can't come up with it. Backman alertly recovers, and we'll see if Mookie Wilson's all right. Mookie trying for the shoestring catch him. Nice try. He appears to be okay. Single for Diaz.
This is very tough on your back and your legs, the artificial surface. Now here's Mookie going after that ball and is unable to make the play. It's off the side of his glove. It's an interesting shot right there. It was a tough play, but ordinarily the ball will hit in the pocket or the webbing. That ball hit off the side of his glove.
Mookie had a play yesterday. He was charged with an error on a ball similar to that, but it was a line drive, not a fly ball. That's certainly a base hit. Yeah, scored such.
The ball yesterday, Mookie should have caught the ball. That's a tough play right there, and obviously scored a base hit. You can't call this guy on first base Rambo. He had a check swing, hit his first time up, and then he get that. Rambo's usually jerking the ball over the wall.
Like old dollar bills, Franny. They all spin.
That's exactly right.
Curveball strike to Bream. It's 0-1 to Sid. 1-0 Pirates. Nobody out.
They all
with Diaz at first.
They all spin.
They all count. They all spin.
Okay. Spin.
Spin.
Okay.
That's what hits do. Spin. Liner to left. McReynolds there. One out. You get enough hits, you'll spin.
Oh yeah. I'm sure.
Or save, or whatever your theory is about handling money. Of course, you're one of the last of the big spenders.
That's right. Ralph's always said that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
I think that's
that.
well known around the league.
I appreciate that. That's why I follow you guys. I learned that lesson well.
Tom Prince, the batter. Courtesy throw to first. Prince 0 for 2 on the night. Change up back to Ojeda. Could be 2. Elster. Hernandez. Double play. No runs, a hit, none left after 7. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Fans literally getting a kick out of this game with their Pirates up 1-0 here in the top of the 8th, trying to salvage the last game in this 4-game series.
Well, to be dancing in the aisles at Shea Stadium this weekend, the Expos and the Mets all sold out. 4 games. Friday night and Saturday afternoon. You can catch those 2 games right here on Sports Channel. Big series, the Expos 6.5 behind the Mets, but the story tonight is that guy right there.
Dave Magadan will be the pinch hitter for Kevin Elster. 1-0 Pittsburgh, so I would imagine we'll have a couple of pinch hitters this inning, employed by Davey Johnson. Magadan 1 for 4 with an RBI in the pinch hitting role this year, and there's a strike. 0-1 today.
With the victory here, the Mets could put the proverbial last nail in the Pirates' coffin. Of course, the Pirates win. It'll be an uplifting move for them.
I guess you could say the Pirates are breathing through a reed right now.
Yes, they are. And you mentioned pinch hitting. There's Lee Mazzilli. He'll come out to pinch hit for Bobby Ojeda.
inside. 2-1 to Magadan. 1-0 Pittsburgh. The only run in this game scored in the 4th inning on an infield out by Bobby O'Neill, scoring Jose Lean.
Toughest thing in baseball is probably pinch hitting.
That and short relief.
Yeah, that and short relief. And I think that your real effective pinch hitters are your guys with the short stride and short stroke, and they're aggressive when they go to the plate. It's tough to think of a guy that hit with a lot of power who was a great pinch hitter. You think of a Manny Mota, Rusty Staub, Gross, Mazzilli,
Smokey Burgess.
Now, Smokey was one of those guys who went up there, I guess, and undid his shirt and ripped.
Yeah, but he was short stroke. Oh. Fly ball to left field. Barry Bonds there. And he makes the play.
I can't think of anybody with that long stride and long stroke that was a good pinch hitter. I heard you and Ralph talking about Keith coming back, not feeling that comfortable with the strike zones. You look at Jim Gott warming up in the Pirate bullpen. I think coming back from a long layoff, a guy with the short stroke and the short stride will be more effective quicker than a guy with a long stride and a long stroke like, say, a Darryl Strawberry. Another guy that comes to mind is Tim Raines, the way he came back last year.
Even though he wasn't a pinch hitter, but he came back with a short stride.
Yeah,
sure.
And
I see what your point.
Keith Hernandez coming back. How about this in Pittsburgh? Missed you, Maz.
That was his number in Pittsburgh, 16. So number 13 for the Mets, the pinch hitter for Bobby Ojeda. Bobby worked 7 innings and did a fine job. Giving up only 1 run. It was earned, even though the throwing error by Carter set up Leaned at third base, and he was driven in by Bonilla.
I think we're going to see Jim Gott throwing along with Reed the rest of the game.
1-0 to Mazzilli. 1-1. By the way, the Pirates have set a 4-date series record with the crowd tonight. 171,435. 171,000 people for this 4-game series. And that breaks the old record of 154,319 set by the Mets and the Pirates back in 1970, a 4-game series. That was the year after the Mets World Championship. Popped up in the infield. Belliard runs off Bonilla to make the play. 2 outs, and the better Len Dykstra. Bob McClure now warming for the Mets.
Well, the National League scoreboard, after 3, it's all tied in St. Louis. The Expos and the Cardinals, they're tied at 1 at Wrigley Field in Chicago. 3-1, the Cubs on top of the Phillies. The first hit under the lights at Wrigley Field. Phil Bradley led the game off with a home run for the Phillies. By the way, in Atlanta, the Giants 5, the Braves 1 after 4 complete. And it's 4-0 Houston over LA after 2 at the Dome in Houston.
It's going to be tough for the Dodgers to come back against Mike Scott. Great Scott in the Dome. 12-3 on the year. Dykstra holds up. 1 ball, no strikes to Lenny. He's 0 for 3. The Mets have only 3 hits off of Rick Reed in his first major league start. Looks totally at ease. He has all night. Unflappable. Out of play. 1-1 to Dykstra.
Well, he is pitching quickly and he's staying ahead.
Changing speeds.
Just like the message in the dugout. Ray Miller, the pitching coach with the Pirates, has done an outstanding job with the Pirates. He managed the Minnesota Twins and had a weak pitching staff. Figure it out.
Even though the year after he was fired, the Minnesota Twins win the World Championship.
That's right.
2 balls and a strike to Dykstra. Mets head for Chicago. They're going west, these young men. Dykstra with an idea about jerking one, and this one I think is going to be out of play. About 5 rows back, so it's 2-2 to Lenny.
It sounded like Horace Greeley.
Yeah. He was the editor of the Times, I guess, when he made that statement.
He said, "Go west, young man." He stayed back east and made all the glue.
Well, the Pirates are trying to prevent going south. If they lose this game, they will be 8 games back. If they win, they'll be 6 games back. So a vital game for the Pirates, and it's only important for the Mets.
It's amazing. Whoever devised the schedule was right on the money this year. He helped the Pirates with their attendance.
Right center field, but there's Diaz. He broke over, and now he breaks back for the out. 8 in a row retired by Rick Reed after 7½. 1-0 Pittsburgh.
Well, if you like the high seas, you're following the right team. It's something extra special. It's a 10-day Caribbean cruise featuring Mets players on the world's top ship, the QE2. And it's during prime vacation time from January 3rd to January 13th, 1989. Many Mets players, coaches, and broadcasters will be on board. Best of all, it's QE2, which is first class. It's a relaxing vacation. There's no extra charge over the regular list price, and it's at a perfect time of year. Call 1-800-732-7000 for more information. Space is limited, so call now.
All right, Franny, and also fans, the moment all of you have been waiting for is here. That sounds dramatic, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Well, the 1988 New York Mets revised yearbook is now on sale, and that's why it sounded dramatic, because it contains many new and exciting pictures and features. Included are action color photos of all the Mets, an updated team picture. You can get a new cover celebrating Shea Stadium's 25th anniversary, and a special 2-page section on Tom Seaver and that memorable day when they retired Tom's number 41. Please send a check or money order made payable to the New York Mets for $5 plus $2 postage and handling to Mets Yearbook, Post Office Box 9559, Trenton, New Jersey 08650. Please allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery, and New Jersey residents please add 6% sales tax.
And the New Jersey residents, along with everybody in the tri-state, is looking at Bobby McClure. McClure coming out in relief. He's 2-3 on the year, a 5.01 ERA. He's been in 25 games. And Bobby McClure will pitch to the Pittsburgh Pirates, whose pitcher is done for the day, it looks like.
Maybe. Jim Leland, Ray Miller talking to him, and when you start shaking hands in the 8th inning, that means you're finished.
But what a masterpiece he has pitched.
Rafael Belliard takes a strike. Belliard is 0 for 1. He has walked and grounded to second. Outside and low. There's R.J. Reynolds. He will not be pitching in the 9th inning. Shoes probably loosening up for defense. He'll be the defensive right fielder for Mike Diaz,
who made an outstanding play in this game. The Pirates are still looking for a position for Diaz.
That saved a run. Van Slyke's play in center field saves a run. Outside that, nary a whimper out of the Mets. 1-2 to Belliard. Curveball got him.
Good curveball from Bobby McClure, even though it was up. Belliard thinks it was too high. Of course, keep in mind that new strike zone, is it being enforced here? It's a good pitch. What happened was Belliard had gone out in the front foot, and then he took the curveball. Fans here in Pittsburgh not happy that Rick Reed has been removed from the ballgame. Listen to them.
Arrested Estrada, formerly with the Yankees, is going to be the pinch hitter for Rick Reed. You just can't quibble about this. Jim Gott's a money guy in the bullpen, and he's just going to him, trying to get a little offense in the process.
A lot of these Mets like the hard stuff as opposed to stuff off speed. Reed was giving them a steady diet of off-speed pitches all night, like that.
Rick Reed struck out 4 and gave up only 3 hits his major league debut. 1-0. Pittsburgh 1 out, bottom of the 8th inning. 1-1 to Estrada. 2 balls and a strike to Estrada. Fly ball, right field. Wilson in, over, back. 2 outs.
That was interesting. Before the ball game, you were talking to Bobby McClure about Keith Hernandez.
Yeah.
They played Little League ball together.
Little League and high school ball in California. And he was saying that he played the outfield, and Hernandez was a pitcher, too. And not only a first baseman, but when Keith would go to first, McClure would come in to pitch. Didn't know that until tonight.
In the Little Leagues, Keith would go to the outfield. There's Rick Reed. Ray Miller has his arm around him, talking to him. If it was a 10-0 Met win, Reed would be in the clubhouse. Miller wouldn't talk to him. Just kidding. Ray Miller's a good pitching coach.
0-1 to Barry Bonds, and he flies to center. Dykstra is back, and the Mets have 3 outs to at least tie it. They trail 1-0 after 8. R.J. Reynolds in right field. His wife Yolanda sang the national anthem before the game. Just gave birth to twins.
Not while she was singing the anthem, but did an outstanding job. Did an outstanding job.
Jim Gott in there as the pitcher in relief of Rick Reed.
And Jim Gott, who's 5-4 in a year, 3.10 ERA, but 17 saves. He's an outstanding relief pitcher. He's really found a home here in Pittsburgh since coming over from the Giants. And I'll tell you, he's going to face some pretty good hitters. There's one of them. Darryl Strawberry. Now, we talked about the long stride and the long stroke for a pinch hitter. Let's see what happens.
For the Pirates, these changes, now playing right field and batting fifth, number 23, R.J. Reynolds.
Strawberry pinch hitting for Wally Backman. First time this year that Strawberry has been used for a pinch hitter.
And as Ralph mentioned earlier, Darryl wanted the night off to rest.
Yeah, but that's still a strange move to make.
No, I agree. I agree with it. Right.
If Smiley's pitching, I can understand it. But Rick Reed,
I would dare say that the philosophy in baseball at one time was the players had to adjust to the manager. Today, the manager has to adjust to the players. It's a lot more difficult to manage today than ever before. If a player of this caliber can walk up to you and say, I want the day off, you'd be afraid to do that 20 years ago. Tell the manager you want a day off, he'd never understand it.
So Strawberry pinch hitting for Backman. And the fastball's on the corner. No balls and a strike to Strawberry.
And Darryl can make a mistake in a ball game, hit a ball 420 feet for a home run.
And it's 1-0 Pittsburgh. 0-2 to Strawberry.
I'll tell you, he's becoming the biggest character in baseball, though. Listen to this crowd.
Low, ball 1-2 to Darryl. 3 fastballs to Strawberry.
Baseball needs characters like Darryl Strawberry. They've had him for a lot of years. They hit the ball 9 miles, and they also make mistakes. And everybody in baseball, every fan that follows baseball recognizes it.
Swing and a miss. Strawberry down on strikes. Here's Hernandez.
Well, here's the pitch to Strawberry. It's a fastball. And Darryl swinging through it. Once again, getting back to that long stride and long stroke. I think it's much more difficult to send that guy up as a pinch hitter. You'd much rather have Darryl go up there, this be his 4th time rather than his 1st. But the manager's job is difficult today.
Keith Hernandez 2 for 3 on the evening. He has 2 of the 3 Met hits. Foul back, 0-1. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Mets have been shut out only 2 times this year. And if they avert it here in the 9th inning, this game will continue because it's 1-0 Pittsburgh. Looper down the left field line. Can Bonilla get it? Yes, he does. 2 outs.
Bobby Bonilla arranging a long way to make this catch. Tell you, this is like the Yale-Harvard game. If Harvard lost all their games and they beat Yale the last day of the season, they've had a successful year. Listen to this crowd.
36,000 people here tonight, 171,000 for the series. McReynolds pops it up, shallow center. Van Slyke. And Jim Gott gets his revenge. Gott balked 3 times in the 8th inning on Saturday night, a game won by the Mets 5-3, and Jim Gott saves it for Rick Reed as the Mets lose this ball game 1-0. Totals on the ball game 1-5-2 for the Pirates, 0-3-1 for the Mets. Losing pitcher and tough luck pitcher Bob Ojeda. His record now 8-10, and his major league debut, 8 innings of shutout ball. Rick Reed, his record 1-0. Now let's go to Gus Hergert in our Sports Channel studios.
And thank you, Tim. Coming your way next on New York Sports Nightly after our post-game wrap-up, a complete review of the day in sports. We'll start in St. Louis, where the red-hot Montreal Expos are trying to extend their winning streak to 6 games and move closer to the Mets. We'll light up your night at Wrigley Field. We'll show you that enlightening moment. The Jets got together to celebrate the 20th reunion of their most famous Super Bowl victory. Gary Player has yet to win another major championship. All that and more after our wrap-up show on New York Sports Nightly.
Tim McCarver along with Fran Healy back at Three Rivers Stadium when the Pittsburgh Pirates, or where the Pittsburgh Pirates, salvaged the 4th game of this series. A 1-0 ball game. Rick Reed, and a great story and a fine job by the 23-year-old Rick Reed. I mean, the Pirates couldn't ask for anything more.
No, the Pirates played perfect baseball, and usually it's a surprise. They lost the first 3 games of the series, and then they come in and they get an outing like they got from Rick Reed. Jim Gott getting the save, and the Pirates were flawless in the field. Played great defense, and they scratched and clawed for the only run of the game, and they played a perfect ball game.
As an example of that flawless play in the field, in the 6th inning, Andy Van Slyke racing back on a Kevin McReynolds fly ball, and Andy, with the Budweiser play of the game, going to the spot, and Van Slyke, I think, is a laydown for the Gold Glove center fielder in the National League this year. Fran and I will be back right after this word. Tim McCarver and Fran Healy back at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. And the Pittsburgh Pirates and the New York Mets have 4 games left, all 4 games in September. The Mets are back here again September 5th. That's a Labor Day afternoon game, and then a Tuesday night game, and then the Pirates come for 2 at Shea Stadium later on. The Pirates now 6 games behind the Mets, and Franny, depending on what Montreal does tonight, the Pirates could be back in 2nd place with this victory.
And the Montreal Expos playing great baseball. They're red hot. Of course, they come into Shea Stadium Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for 4 games. But even more important, Tim, I think going to Chicago is going to be a test for the Mets.
Yep.
Last time they played the Cubs.
Night game tomorrow night, and 2 games Wednesday and Thursday. And again, we've got to repeat the job that Rick Reed did tonight.
Oh,
what a superb job.
He really did. He mixed up his pitches so well. We mentioned an 83-mile-per-hour fastball, and Reed dominated the New York Mets. He said his dream was to pitch against the Mets. Well, he lived his dream. And because of that, he's a Texaco star of the game. And it's Rick Reed. Outstanding job by the Pirate right-hander, and he's congratulated by his happy pitching coach, and I should say his proud pitching coach, Ray Miller. And we'll be back.
The only run of the ball game scoring in the 4th inning tonight as the Pittsburgh Pirates shut out the Mets. The Mets being shut out for the 3rd time this year. Kevin Elster made this play, but on the play, Jose leaned, scoring the only run of the ball game as the Pirates beat the Mets 1-0. Remember, tomorrow at 7:30, Dave Winfield and the Yankees open up a 3-game series with the Toronto Blue Jays. Friday, the Mets host Andres Galarraga and the red-hot Montreal Expos. Coming up next on New York Sports Nightly, a report on the reunion of the 1969 Jets and all the scores and highlights from around the Major League. For Fran Healy and Ralph Kiner, this is Tim McCarver saying so long until Friday, and thanks for watching Mets Baseball on Sports Channel, your stop for a Subway Series summer. Good evening, everybody.
New York Mets baseball has been brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By your Tri-State Toyota dealers who invite you to come in and test drive a Toyota and ride with the best. By TWA, find out how good we really are. By Texaco, star of the American road. By 9X Yellow Pages, if it's out there, it's in here. And by AT&T, the right choice.